You are watching the video manual of the Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2 with the Soprod Swiss multifunction movement. In this segment, we will go over the functions of the watch, or modes as they are referred to, that give you the different functionalities within the 7 micromotor movement of the Lunokhod 2. As you can see on the left-hand side, there is a display of the different modes. There are 5 basic modes to choose from. The chronograph mode, which the watch is in now, a first time zone, a second time zone, a countdown of up to 12 hours, and a countdown of up to 31 days. In order to move through these modes, you press the C or center crown. For all of the demonstrations within this video series, these crowns will be referred to exactly as they are within the printed manual. This is the A crown, this is the C crown, and this is the B crown. In order to move from mode to mode, you press in the C or center crown. We are currently in the chronograph mode, which we will explain in greater detail in another segment of the manual. Then we push the button in, the C button, and move to the first or local time zone. Pressing the C crown again will move us to the second time zone. Again, takes us to the countdown of hours, and again, countdown of days. Then we push the crown one more time to go back to the chronograph function. Whatever mode you prefer the watch to be in, you set it by pressing the crown and you'll see this indicator move to which mode you're in. All 5 of these modes can operate separately, independently, and simultaneously of one another. This is accomplished because of the 7 micromotor movement that is in this watch built by the Soprod company of Switzerland. This means you could have all modes activated at the same time, or selectively whichever mode you want to be using, say the chronograph and just the time zones, or just the countdown of hours and the time zones. They will all function independently, and as you move between modes, when you get back to the mode that you want to view, if it is currently in action, you will see the elapsed time or countdown or what have you has been functioning all along in the background. These are the basic modes of the watch. Their individual functions in a more detailed way will be discussed in other segments of this video manual. You are watching the video manual of the Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2 with the Soprod Swiss multifunction movement. In this segment, we are going to go over how to set the watch, the hours, the minutes, the day of the month of the year, and the year in relation to leap year. First of all, there are a couple of more traditional items on this watch that set like any other watch that would have them. This watch is a 30 ATM diver, so it does have a unidirectional rotating bezel. You would follow the same procedures you would with any rotating bezel for diving to measure your elapsed time by rotating this. It also has a helium release valve. That is an automatic helium release valve. There is nothing required for you to set. This is a feature for deep diving for the releasing of the helium as someone is coming back up from a deep dive. Again, this is a 30 ATM diver. Now, for setting the more common functions of the watch, right now you will notice that we are in the local time zone mode. As I showed in the original demonstration of the modes, this indicator here tells you what mode you are in. We're currently in the local time zone mode. Now let's say you didn't want it to be 9:35 and you want to set the local time to a different time. Let's say you want to go to 3:15 as the local time. The first thing you do is you pull out the crown all the way to the far out position. Now this is the C crown. As I mentioned earlier in the other segments, as always this is referred to as the A crown, this is the B crown, this is the C crown. You have now pulled the C crown out to its furthest position. Now, the typical thing that you would do, the natural movement now would be, I'm going to turn the crown to set the time. But as you can see, turning the crown does absolutely nothing. It doesn't hurt anything, but it doesn't move the hands in any way. That's because the way you set the movement on this watch, the way you set the time, is a little bit different probably than most any other watch you may have ever had in your collection. I equate it to how you would set the time on your clock radio beside your bed, how you have to push the buttons to advance the time. In that case digitally, here it's analog, but it's the same principle. If you'll notice, the seconds hand is in the 10 o'clock position while I have the crown all the way out. It's locked in the 10 o'clock, in the 10 seconds position. When it is in the 10 seconds position, the watch is ready to have the minutes set of the watch. Pushing the A crown will advance the minute hand 1 minute at a time. Pushing and holding the A crown will advance the minutes in a sweep fashion just like this. As you get close, let's say we want to be the 15 after, let go, and then you can push individually until you get to the position that you want the minute hand to be. Now, you've set the minutes. You want to move on to setting the hours. How do you do that? Now you're going to push the B crown. If you'll notice, when I push the B crown, we moved the seconds hand to the 20 seconds position. Once you're in the 20 seconds position, you are now ready to push the A crown in order to set the hour. Same drill. If you push it one at a time, it will advance 1 hour at a time. If you push and hold, it's going to sweep around faster, and then as you get closer to the position you want, you can let it go and then press. And let's just say we wanted it to be 9:15 again. Now you'll notice that it's locking in at 9. It doesn't look like it's 15 past the hour where the hour hand is. Once you push the crown back in to start the time functioning, the hour hand will then move to the proper position in relation to where the minute hand is on the dial. It's important to notice because it could look like you've set it wrong, and then you have to realize that if you're at 9:30, it's going to be locked here at the 9 o'clock position until you go back in with the crown to start timekeeping again. Now, that gives you the function for changing the hours. I hope you noticed while this was happening that the AM/PM indicator here on the time zone was moving, because you need to tell the watch whether you want it to be 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Right now, we have the watch at 9 p.m. If what we really wanted to set the local time to was 9 a.m., we need to sweep back around. Excuse me, I pulled out the crown. So that's a good thing to notice. It's easy to do that, to just push the crown back in and not realize that you did that, and suddenly you've taken yourself out of the time setting mode. So I'm going to go back now to the 20 seconds position by pushing the B crown, and we are back to where we're setting the hours. So let's say you want AM and not PM. We start pushing the A crown. Now you see how it moved back to the AM position. We keep pushing, or we let it sweep, let go. Now we're at 9:15 a.m., assuming that's the local time that we wanted. Now, we set the local time that we want. What's next? You push in the B crown again. Now you see how we moved to the 30 seconds position. The 30 seconds position. In the 30 seconds position, we are ready to set the day of the month, or the date. This indicator up here at the top is your date indicator. It also serves other functions with countdown of days and the years and so forth. But for the purposes of this setting mode, we are setting the days of the month. Now let's say that the day of the month we want right now is, let's go all the way back around and say it's going to be the 7th. Okay? Again, same drill. Push it in, we'll move one day at a time. Holding it in, it's going to swing back and forth in a retrograde fashion. So we get close to the 7th. I think I went a little past, so we'll do the same thing. Come back around, get close to the 7th. And then now we are indicating that we're the 7th day of the month. Now, to move forward to set the month of the year, again, same functionality. You press the B crown. You now see that the B crown has moved to the 40 seconds position. Once it's locked into that position, same drill. We can change the year. Now you see how it's only moving within the first 12. It's because obviously there are only 12 months of the year, and this is designed for you to only set those 12 months. So let's let go and say we want to set it to the current month, which is December. that we're filming this in just so happens to be. So we've set this to December. So we've now got this set for December 7th. Okay? Now, there is one other important setting on this watch. This watch has a perpetual calendar through the year 2099. And yes, it's driving me crazy that I don't have this back in the center position, so I'm fixing that. Now, in order to have the watch know where it is on the calendar in relation to leap year, you're going to press the B button one more time, or B crown. We have now moved to the 50 seconds position, you see. In the 50 seconds position, you now have 4 positions up here with which to set the year. What you're setting is the year in relation to leap year. Now, we all know that this year, 2012, was a leap year. That means that we would set the watch in the 4th position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because you set the watch in relation to leap year wherever you are so that the 4th year is the actual leap year. So let's just say for the sake of argument that this year was the first year past leap year, we would go to the 1st position. But because this year is leap year, we're going to be in the 4th position. The 4th position is always the year for leap year. So that means we've just passed leap year, another 3 years are going to come by, and when this automatically comes back around, it's going to be at leap year again. Why are you doing that? So that the calendar knows which months are 30, which months are 31. Of course, that's part of setting the month as well. But it also knows how to factor in for leap year. So in leap year, it's going to automatically go to 29 days for February as opposed to 28, giving you that perpetual calendar. If you don't ever have to make a change to the calendar, this calendar should always automatically be on the proper date. So if it's a month with 30 days instead of 31, you're not going to have to do like you do with a watch without a perpetual calendar and take it back to the 1st, because it would be sitting on the 31st as opposed to the 1st if it didn't have the perpetual calendar function. Now, you've got it set all the ways you want. Push the crown back in. You're now back in the local timekeeping mode. Okay. We're going to go ahead and show you in this segment how to set the secondary time zone as well. That's quite simple comparatively. There are no moving between the modes down here for setting the secondary time zone. Why? Because there's really only one thing you're going to set on a secondary time zone. It doesn't matter what time zone you're in around the world, the minutes are always going to be the same. So the only thing you're going to set on a secondary time zone is what other hour do you want to be in on the 24 hours that are available of time zones. So that's how you set the secondary time zone. Push the crown back in. If you want to be displaying the secondary time zone, you stay in that mode, or press again and again to move back through the modes until you get to local time zone keeping. And that is how you set the functions of the Lunokhod 2 with the SOPROD Swiss multifunction movement. You are watching the video manual for the Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2 multifunction SOPROD Swiss movement watch. In this segment, we are going to cover how to operate the chronograph. I have moved the watch into the chronograph mode. Again, as a brief refresher, the different modes of the watch are accomplished by pressing the C crown to get to whichever mode you want to be in. In this case, we want to be in the chronograph mode, which is the first mode here. For the most part, the chronograph operates like almost any other chronograph you would ever have on your wrist. To start the chronograph, you press the A button, and as you can see, it is now starting to measure elapsed time, and it can measure up to 31 hours of elapsed time from the time that you start the chronograph. Stop the chronograph, press B to reset it. Pretty much like any standard chronograph. Now, what makes this one a little bit different than most chronographs you are going to see, particularly mechanical ones, is this does give you the ability to measure 2 simultaneous events ending at a different time. So let's say, for instance, you want to measure a race between 2 people. You know that one of them is going to win the race, or most likely they're not going to tie. So one person is going to cross the finish line, and you want to know when they cross the finish line And then the next runner is going to cross the finish line, and you want to measure when they cross the finish line. If you start the chronograph, now let's say this is a pretty fast runner that's running on, it's the first one we want to measure, and he crosses the finish line at the 10-second position. Now if you noticed, I pressed the B button, which would normally be the reset, but I pressed the B crown here because I wanted to write down when the first runner passed the finish line and know what that time is. Now it looks like nothing's happening right now in the watch, but that's not the case, because in the background the chronograph is still running. Now the other runner just crossed the finish line. As you can see, it moved forward, and you could have either stopped the chronograph right then, or just pay attention. In that particular case, it went to the 39-second position, and you know then that the second runner crossed at the 39-second position. In that way, you can measure two different simultaneous events. Now, if you want to stop, you just press the A button. You've now stopped the chronograph. B resets it. Pretty standard in that way, except for the split time to measure the two two simultaneous events that are happening, so that you know when one finished and then when the other finished. And that's how you operate the chronograph on the Lunokhod 2. One additional item of note on the chronograph function, you may notice that there is an AM and PM indication on the chronograph. That is there because of the fact that this chronograph can measure up to 31 hours of elapsed time, and that obviously crosses an AM-PM threshold when you're measuring that much time. That's there to let you know when you've passed that point, it will advance to PM, much like the time zones would, and that's why that's there on the chronograph function. You are watching the video manual for the Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2 watch with the Soprod Swiss multifunction movement. In this segment, we are going to be going over how to use the function for the countdown of hours. Currently, we are in the chronograph mode. Again, as a refresher, to move from mode to mode, you push in the center crown, or C crown. Local time, secondary time zone, and now we have moved to the countdown of hours. The first thing you want to do is determine where do you want the countdown to start, and it is important to note that during this function, as in the countdown of days, everything on the watch is going to run counterclockwise because this is a countdown and not elapsed time. In order to set that the hour that you want to start the countdown in, and you can count down up to 12 hours, just like when you're setting the watch, which is reviewed in another segment, you pull the C crown all the way out. In order to set the minutes, that's going to be the first position that you're in. Same as before with setting the time. Wherever you want the minutes, you either hold the crown in to sweep or push it one at a time. Let's say you want this to start at 3 o'clock. Now we're going to push the B button, or B crown again, and it is going to move the hours. So if you wanted it to start at 3 o'clock for your countdown, or if you wanted to say start at 6 o'clock for your countdown, wherever you are, if it's the local time zone that you want to start the countdown from, this is where you set that for starting the countdown of hours. Then you push back in the crown, being careful not to push it all the way in with any force, because if you do, then you're going to move forward to the next mode. You just want to push it into the middle position or the standard position, not push it to advance the mode. Just like the chronograph at this point, in order to start the countdown of hours, you press the A. Now you can see how the second hand retrograded or moved all the way over to the other side and started counting down. Now obviously, for the purposes of this video guide, we're not going to be able to have a whole hour elapsed to show you how the hours go down as well, but you get the idea that this is counterclockwise and you're measuring up to 12 hours based on whatever time you wanted to start the countdown. This could be used if you're cooking a turkey, If you are, you know you're going to be going to a movie in 3 or 4 hours and you want to have a countdown. By the way, you need to note too that when it gets to the end of the countdown of hours or the countdown of days, there's a jiggle of the hands that happens at the end of that countdown. That is completely normal. There's nothing wrong with the watch. So that is how you use the countdown of hours on the Lunokhod 2. You are watching the video manual for the Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2 with the Swiss Soprod multifunction movement. In this segment we are going to cover the function for the countdown of days. As you can see, we are currently in the chronograph mode. As with all other changes in the watch, to move to the other modes, you press the center or C crown until you reach the mode that you would like to use. In this case, it is the countdown of days. Setting the countdown of days is actually a little simpler in this mode than it is in some of the others because you're really only setting one thing, and that is how many days do you want to count down. As with all other settings, you pull the C or center crown all the way out. In order to pick the number of days that you want to measure, you're going to press the A button. Remember, this is the A, this is the C, this is the B. You're going to press the A button. Again, one at a time will decrease by the number of days that you want to measure. Holding it in, it will swing back and forth. And let's just say that you want to count down 15 days. We're going to come close as we, well, I probably could have gotten closer, but anyway, you get close, you start pressing individually. We are now at the 15-day mark. Then you press the C or center crown back in, again being careful not to push it in too hard so that you don't move to the next mode. And then you start the countdown of days just like you would the chronograph by pressing the A button. Now you'll notice nothing else here has changed. You're actually going to see the local time while you're in this mode, but the countdown of days is going to happen in the background. Again, because of the fact that we of course cannot show a countdown of days in this short video guide, you just have to trust that this is happening in the background and it will count down to 15 days. When it gets to the end, you will see a little joggling of the hands. That is completely normal. Again, this is the countdown of days. This could be a function. You've got an event coming up and you want to count down to those days that the event is coming up, something along those lines. That is what this function is for, up to 31 days. And that is how to use the countdown of day function on the Lunokhod 2. You are watching the video manual for the Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2 multifunction Swiss movement watch. In this segment, we are going to go over how to index the watch. Now, what does indexing mean? Well, that means that if for whatever reason the hands on the watch got out of alignment, say it's when you were changing the battery on the watch and once the new battery came in, the hands are out of alignment, or maybe you just accidentally pushed some buttons and got the hands not where you want them to be, and that would cause a misalignment of the hands. Now, as you can see, we are currently in the chronograph mode. I have purposely misaligned the hands to demonstrate to you what we're going to be doing when we're indexing. As you can see, normally when you would get to the beginning of the chronograph mode, the hour hand would be at the 12 o'clock position and the minute hand would be at the 12 o'clock position because that's where you would want to start for elapsed time. In this case, we're at 2:20 because that's just where I set it for the purposes of demonstrating how to index the hands. Now, in order to index, the first thing you want to do is you need to move to the local timekeeping function, the first time zone. You have to be in the first time zone in order to index all of the hands. The next thing you want to do, and this is the only time that you will do this with this watch, is you want to push the A and B. Remember, this is the A crown, this is the B crown, this is the C crown. You want to push the A and B crown together simultaneously for 2 seconds. Now you'll see the hands dance. Once they're in that position, you are now in the mode to be able to set the indexing of the hands. One of the things that is different about this is you'll recall from setting the time, the second hand moved to different positions to let you know which thing you were going to set. In this mode, this does not move. You're going to have to pay attention to the written manual to know the number of times to push the B button to what mode you want to move into for indexing the hands. When you've pushed the 2 crowns in and you've gotten into the indexing mode, okay, at this point, you know you're starting off with the minutes being what you change. So you don't need to push the B button at this point to change the minutes. You simply need to push the A button. Again, it's the same function as in all the other segments. You either push it one at a time, a minute at a time, or you hold it. Now we want to index the minute hand to the 12 o'clock position. We held it for a little bit. Now we're going to push it until we're in the 12 o'clock position. Now, you want to index the hour hand. You push the B crown. Now you notice it did not move on the second hands like it does when you're setting the time. You've just got to remember that you're now in the second position and you're going to be indexing the hour. Same drill, holding it down moves it this way, pressing it one at a time moves it in smaller increments. And now we're going to index to the 12 o'clock position. Now, I did not misalign the other elements on the watch, but I'm still going to show you how you would index either the days, the modes, or the seconds. Now, you've pushed this crown twice now. You're in the hour setting mode. You want to now set the date. You push the B crown again. You know you've pushed it 3 times. Pushing the A crown will advance the date to where you want to index it. Obviously, commonly, you would want to index to the first day of the month. Now, did you notice when I held the crown in this time, that indicator went all the way counterclockwise and kind of disappeared? That's what's going to happen if you hold the crown in. The only way to move it one step at a time is to push it in one step at a time. Now let me demonstrate this again. I am pushing the A, well, let me move forward to a few more days. I'm pushing the A crown in and I'm holding it. Boom, disappeared. It went counterclockwise. You haven't done anything wrong. This is just the nature of indexing the watch. You're then going to want to push this, and obviously the typical original index position would be the 1 position. Now you want to change, for whatever reason, the mode got out of whack, and it's not lining up with the mode that you want it to be lined up with. Same drill. You now know you have pushed this 3 times. You want to move to the mode position, push it again. One at a time moves the mode just a little bit. Okay? Now, I hold it in. Same thing happens. You get that flyback of the indicator and it disappeared, and you're like, oh my goodness, what happened? I lost the indicator. Same drill here. You're just going to push, 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 push until you get it to where you want it to be. So you're going to line it up with the AM position of the chronograph. Okay? Now, the last mode to set, one more push, and you now can index the seconds. If they weren't at the beginning, and again, same thing will happen. If you push and hold, boom, indicator disappears completely. What have I done? Done nothing, except set it all the way back so that you can start, press, and move it to the 0 position. And there you have it. You have now indexed all of the hands on your Lunokhod 2. Now, in order to get out of this, just like you do anything else on this watch, you're going to press the C crown in. It's going to move back to the next mode, and now all of the hands are indexed. Now, how can you tell that it's been indexed? You go back to the chronograph mode, and you'll see all the hands line back up in an indexed position. So then you know that you've properly indexed your Lunokhod 2. You are watching the video manual for the Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2 with the Soprod Swiss multifunction movement. In this segment, we're going to cover how to change the strap out on your Lunokhod 2 watch. One thing that has changed on this watch compared to some of the ones in the past is you are only required to have 1 screwdriver. That's because of the unique way that Vostok-Europe has created this new strap interchange system. You're going to unscrew both sides of the strap with this custom screwdriver that will come with it. And 2 screw heads will come out. Now you want to make sure you're in a place where you're not going to lose these little screw heads, because if you do, that's going to be, you're not going to be able to replace the strap. Those are critical to the strap being properly put on the watch. You're going to do both sides, pull them out completely. Now, one of the things that makes this system different and allows for it to have only one screwdriver is that the bar for the strap actually remains in the strap when you pull it out. So you're going to need to remove the bar by pushing it through with the screwdriver, and you'll see we have now removed the bar from the strap. You take the strap that you want to have replace the one that was on there, you put the bar into that strap, make sure it's nice and flush, and then you're going to put this strap back in between the lugs, and then screw the screws back in on both sides. And that is how you will interchange the straps on your Vostok-Europe Lunokhod 2. Just follow the same procedure if you want to put the leather on or any of the other straps that may come with your Lunokhod 2.